In this video, you will learn how to add and subtract fractions. We'll start with some like fractions. That means they have the same denominator. Example 1, 1/5 plus 3/5. Something very important you have to understand about fractions is that the denominator represents the number of equal pieces one whole is broken into. So here you can see a picture example of 1/5 and 3/5. When the denominators are alike, all we have to do is add together the numerators, which is the top number. Since fifth represents the size of the piece, all the pieces are the same size. They're all 1/5. So 1 of them plus 3 of them equals 4 of them. 1/5 plus 3/5 equals 4/5. Example 2. Again, we have the same denominator, 1/6 plus 2/6. For this example, you can see that the picture is broken up into 6 equal pieces. The blue represents the 1/6. The green represents the 2/6. When we put them together, we have 3/6. You probably noticed that 3/6 can simplify to 1/2. We can divide both the top and the bottom by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So our answer of 3/6 simplifies to 1/2. Example 3, let's subtract 3/4 minus 1/4. Again, we have like fractions with the same denominator. Here's a picture representation of 3/4. You can see 3 out of the 4 boxes are shaded. To subtract 1/4, remove 1. There are 2/4 remaining. Can this be simplified? The 2 and the 4 are both divisible by 2. That means you can divide them by 2 evenly. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 2/4 simplifies to 1/2. Example 4. Now we have unlike fractions. That means they have different denominators. 1/2 plus 1/4. Let's take a look at what 1/2 and 1/4 look like. The blue represents 1/2. 1 out of the 2 pieces are shaded. The green represents 1/4. 1 out of the 4 pieces are shaded. You should notice that both whole pieces are the same size. One of the important things about fractions is you can't add or subtract them if they have different denominators. That means the pieces are different sizes. So we would be adding together big pieces plus small pieces, and we wouldn't really know what number of pieces we would have. So we have to make sure all the pieces are the same size. That's why we have to find a common denominator. So in this situation, the common denominator is 4. We can change 1/2 to 2/4 by multiplying both the top number and the bottom number by 2. 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4. Now that we have the same size pieces and the same denominator, we can add together the 2/4 and the 1/4. When we put them together, you can see we have 3/4. Example 5, 1/2 minus 1/4. Here's our picture representation. The blue represents the 1/2 and the green represents the 1/4. But they're not the same size pieces. So I can't take away anything the size of the green piece from the blue piece. I would have to break the blue piece up into smaller pieces. So we have to find a common denominator. We can break up the 1/2 into 4ths by multiplying both the top number and the bottom number by 2. 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So 1/2 can be rewritten as 2/4. Now we have the same denominator. So now I can take away something the size of the green piece from the blue. Now we've removed 1/4 from the 1/2. 1/2 minus 1/4 is 1/4. Example 6, unlike fractions with different denominators. This time we can't make one of the denominators into the other denominator because 2 can't go into 3 evenly. So we are going to have to find a a common denominator in a different way. To find the least common denominator, we need to list the multiples of 2 and 3 until we find one that is the same. Let's list out the multiples of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, and we could go on, but let's list some of the first multiples of 3 and see if we come up with one that's the same. The first few multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and 12. The least common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6, so we can use the denominator of 6 for these fractions. First, we'll change the 1/2 into 6. We have to multiply the top and the bottom numbers both by 3. 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. So 1/2 can be rewritten as 3/6. Now let's change 2/3 into 6. In order to get the thirds to be 6, we're going to have to multiply the top and the bottom numbers both by 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. So 2/3 can be rewritten as 4/6. Now that we have all the pieces the same size, we can add them together. So you can see that 3/6 plus 4/6 equals 7/6. This happens to be slightly more than one whole. So we need to simplify 7/6 by putting together the 6 pieces that make one whole. 6 of those 6 make one whole, and there's 1 left over. So 7/6 is equal to 1 and 1/6. Example 7. Let's look at some with whole numbers and fractions. These 3 numbers that are being added together are mixed fractions. 2 and 1/2 plus 2 and 1/4 plus 1 and 3/4. It looks trickier than it really is. Watch how we can break this down. By now you know that we need common denominators to add and subtract fractions. So notice that we have 2 addends here that have fourths as their denominators. So if we look at 2 and 1/4 and 1 and 3/4, let's figure out what those are together before we mess with the half. Let's kind of regroup these numbers. So let's take the 2 and the 1 and put them together, 2 plus 1. Then let's take the 1/4 and the 3/4 and put them together. They have the same denominator, so we can just add the top numbers. 1 plus 3 is 4. So that gives us 2 plus 1 plus 4/4. 4/4 is equal to 1 whole. And when we add those together, 2 plus 1, that gives us 4. Now we just need to add the 2 1/2 to that. 4 plus 2 is 6. And then we just need to tack on the 1/2. 4 plus 2 is 6 plus the 1/2 makes 6 and 1/2. Example 8. Again, we have some whole numbers. This time we're adding 2 plus 1/4. Let's think of a pizza. If we have 2 whole pizzas and we have 1/4 of a pizza and we put them together, how much pizza do we have? We have 2 and 1/4 pizzas. So 2 plus 1/4 is 2 and 1/4. Let's look at our last example, example number 9. 2 minus 1/4. We have a picture representation of 2. It looks like 2 whole bars, but they're broken into fourths so that we can see what it looks like when we remove one of those fourths. When one of the fourths disappears, we no longer have 2 whole pieces. We have 1 whole piece, and 3/4 of the second one is left. So 2 minus 1/4 is 1 and 3/4. Now you should know how to add and subtract fractions. Thanks for watching.